Welcome to SSI's Security Speaking Podcast, brought to you by Security Sales and Integration. Each episode features thought leaders from throughout the professional security channel discussing technology, winning business practices, hot industry trends, and emerging opportunities. We appreciate your interest and encourage you to subscribe to Security Sales and Integration and its newsletters. Regularly visit securitysales.com for the latest news and follow SSI on social media. Thank you. To get rolling, I would like to do a round robin, have everyone just briefly introduce themselves and give us just a couple sentences of your background in the industry and also just a couple about your company. So I'll start on my clockwise upper left with Tyler first.
Sure. So I'm Tyler with Midwest Alarm and BCI Integrated Solutions. And as a company, we've been around since 1967. We have our own central station. We're headquartered out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We have 4 locations up in the Midwest and then 4 in Florida. Pretty much do every kind of system, Division 27, 28. I'm a lawyer by training. It's my family's company. We've been in the industry for about 40 years now. So kind of grew up in the business and then transitioned into the business after law school. So.
And what's roughly the residential commercial mix of your customers?
So we're probably about 80% commercial, about 20% resi, and really most of that resi is just kind of add-on business for existing, commercial, customers, or just, word of mouth business that we've picked up over the years. It's never really been a focus for us. We've never, run, summer sales programs or really chased it. It's really just, just kind of add-on business for us. So we're primarily a commercial, enterprise, higher end, integrator.
Very good. Thank you, Tyler. John?
Yes, sir. John Copeland with ESI Fire and Security Protection. We've been open since 1999. Specialize access control, CCTV integrations, and mobile security solutions. About 26 employees. We've got one office down in Channelview, Texas, just east of Houston.
Excellent. Thank you, John. Melissa?
Yes. Melissa Brinkman. I'm with Custom Alarm. We're located in Rochester, Minnesota. Family business. My dad started in 1968 and focus on both commercial and residential. We have about a 70% mix on commercial heavy there. I have been with the company a little over 20 years. Previous to that, I was in the hospitality industry and have enjoyed the transition over to the security industry and worked in a variety of different areas in the business here before becoming CEO about 6.5 years ago.
Thank you, Melissa. Dave?
Hi, Dave Critton, Microbiz. We're located in San Francisco. We have an office downtown. We do primarily commercial, card access, alarm, video, telephone entry systems, intercoms, anything to do with buildings for the most part. And then we do some universities and schools, but it's all pretty much card access is what we like to do. We do maybe 5% residential. We started in 1965. I've been here since 1980. A past CPP, qualified alarm manager, and I'm the CFO of Microbiz.
Excellent. Thank you. So as we go through this, guys, I encourage interactivity. If somebody says something that piques your interest or you have a question yourself, feel free to interject. Some of the best, information comes from sort of that cross discussion. So. And as we move through this, our time's very limited, and I'd like to touch on as many topics as possible, so just try to keep your answers concise. Off the top, let's talk about the pandemic a little bit, and first how it impacted your business and your people, and how that has evolved from springtime until now. So let's continue with the order we did and start with Tyler on that.
Sure. So we saw the pandemic as, a big opportunity for us. We actually closed an acquisition on March 16th, which of course was, Black Monday, and we're in the process of, closing 2 other acquisitions scheduled to close by the end of the year. So we've, seen kind of the chaos that's been going on in the market and the industry as a good opportunity to not only acquire, good companies that are out there with owners that might be, just heading to the exits because they're unsure of what the future holds, but also, picking up good, employees from other companies that might have been, new on the market. So early on, we had, kind of a work from home policy that we had with a lot of our inside staff. Obviously, operating your own central station, we really wanted to make sure that we didn't expose the operators and have any downtime with our central. But we only really had that work from home policy for, really about 3-4 weeks. And then after that, we, had everyone come back to the office and had everybody, separate in their different offices, wear masks, kind of maintain social distancing, and then went back to normal. And then ever since then, it's kind of been business as usual for us. And then really kind of putting, our foot on the gas pedal and really trying to up our sales activity, both from, calls and emails and trying to reach back out with our customers. So I guess that being said, the substantial ways it's changed us is it really hasn't, other than it's just, maybe changed a little bit how we interact and communicate with customers, but we've kind of seen it just as a great opportunity.
Very good. Thank you. John, what about you and your company?
Well, fortunately, we had a big rollover from last year. Last year was one of our biggest years as a customer as far as sales go. So we did have a big rollover, and that kept us busy until probably July when we finally caught up. And then luckily we have a lot of big customers that keep us steady work. We have let a few people go, but it was already on the table for them to be out the door anyway. So it was easier to make that transition, if you will, especially since unemployment doesn't kind of get you now. But it's been crazy, I'm sure, like it has for everybody. But we've been steady, fortunately, and looking forward next year.
Thank you. Melissa?
I would say, throughout since this kind of the onset of it, we've seen kind of some different waves with it. Right now, honestly, is probably the most significant we've seen with just here in Minnesota. There's been a rise, which I know around the country as well, but it's hitting a little closer to home. But we did go remote for a while with our workforce that could work remotely. Obviously, much like everybody else, your technicians, you have them out in the field and you want to keep them as safe, interacting with their customers. We also, are just leveraging the technology with doing, these kinds of things, Zoom calls or Teams calls, even if people are in the office. We did go lax with that over the summer and allowed face-to-face meetings, and obviously still trying to be as safe as possible with practicing all the protocols. Now as we're entering winter and there's an uptick, we're reevaluating and making sure that people are diligent and vigilant about what they're doing. But we have seen from a business standpoint an increase in certain areas of our business, and other areas been a little more challenging, but we're weathering it, I'd say, pretty well, all things considered.
Thank you. Dave?
Well, it has affected what we did. We sent everybody home for a couple of weeks until we got a handle on what could be done and how we can come back to work. And we were designated an essential business. We had to provide PPP equipment for our employees. A lot of the jobs were stopped, and then we had to see which ones could open back up and under what conditions. And seems like some of our jobs, they wanted to value engineer them to make them less expensive and I guess make our bid more competitive. There's no way around. There are hardships. You can look at it as opportunity, and you want to look at things you can do. And of course, the job market, there are a lot of people looking for jobs. So we have been able to pick up a couple good techs and improve our situation. But it's in California, a lot of things are shut down, and it's been shut down. And long-term effects is, I guess we'll talk about it a little bit, but it's still, we don't know how it's all going to shake out. So, we try to make the best of it and try and make plans for the future. And we did get the PPP loan, which I think a lot of companies applied for, and it was real helpful to have that money coming in, to know that you have that and help carry you over in case there are future issues.
So as we look forward as best we can, given circumstances, what do you think personally in terms of opportunities that may spring out of the pandemic situation, whether it is, some of the thermal stuff or other access technology that Tyler mentioned? What do you think is something that, you'll be able to sink your teeth in, and hopefully it'll be an opportunity moving forward? And then even also maybe looking residentially in terms of, they say that 25% of the population may never go back to how they were in terms of, office workspaces and that kind of thing. More people working from home offices. So is there also an emerging opportunity there to provide more home solutions for home offices? What do you see, Dave, in terms of these emerging opportunities?
Well, I think technology will actually drive some new opportunities. I think contactless access entry. There's some weird protections in San Francisco against biometrics and visual aids, but I think getting into a building or office, the card access, there'll be a lot of devices that will help you get in without having to touch doors or having to touch card readers. They're going to do the biometrics to try and just do the hand scanners or facial scanners to give you access. I think that will be something. It's something we've had, but I think that will accelerate. And there's always opportunities, but we as integrators have to change, be aware of what's out there, and adapt and jump into these new markets as they do emerge for us.
I'll throw this out to the rest of you if you want to continue with that thought about possible technology opportunities emerging out of the pandemic. Who would like to jump in on that?
I was just say, not necessarily for us new technology, but just something that we've been seeing slow to adopt in our area, which is more of the cloud services and the SaaS. As we now are seeing more and more businesses working remotely, so they're wanting to manage their business without physically having to be on site. So we're seeing a lot more traction on that. So it's not necessarily new technology, it's just technology that now people are understanding the value of it, and it's an easier conversation now to have because of the circumstances we're all living through.
Yeah, I think to dovetail on that a little bit too, I think that security as a service is going to get, pushed forward a lot more. I think that a lot of organizations are realizing that, hey, taking, a bunch of money and putting it on CapEx to invest in a security system maybe doesn't make sense, but maybe let's do it as a service, for our access control and our cameras, because we don't know 5 years if we're going to have, 500 people in the office or 50, but, right now we need it. So let's find for a different way to pay for it that makes a little bit more sense. I definitely think that security as a service is going to come, a lot bigger in 2021, especially for budgeting. Because obviously there's going to be cash flow concerns for a lot of organizations. And I think, coming out of it, if 25% of the workforce isn't going back to the office, I think it presents a lot of opportunity for, integrators to maybe, pick up, sales reps and techs, kind of throughout the country. And I think that what you're going to find is some of the national companies are going to struggle a little bit, the JCIs and the ADTs, because they have such a high overhead built in their organizations. But I think you're going to find some regional players are going to do really, really well, kind of picking off some of the larger, enterprise and national accounts, because they're going to be able to provide the same service, maybe even better service at a lower cost to some of these organizations. And obviously, the thing that most organizations are concerned about going into 2021 is, how do we conserve our cash? How do we control our budgets? Just because most of them have had some sort of hit. during 2020. So, they don't want to be, out too far on a limb.
John, you want to add anything about the technology moving forward?
Yeah, it's actually been super crazy because we've had so many different products just pop up all of a sudden. Our customers are coming to us, asking us, hey, how do we do this? How do we bring our employees back to the office safely? Because everybody wants safety and security is big for their employees. How do we bring them back to the office and protect them from outsiders coming in? And then we get approached by one, EBT company, and then literally 10 more knocking on the door, and you got so much different technology that you're looking at, and how do you pick the right one? How do you know which one is actually working, or if it actually works at all? So we've been fighting that battle, and it's trying to help our customers adapt new standard operating procedures with visitor management systems. Pre-screening their visitors before they even are allowed to come to their campus. So it's just, like I said, there's so many different products out there now. It's just really difficult to know which one is the right one to choose for them.
What about remote diagnostics and troubleshooting of your installed systems out there? Keeping with John, are you guys doing much of that? Do you see that growing?
We have 2 customers that we have remote access to their servers. We have one guy that will log into their servers once a week and check everything out, or if they have an issue with something, we can log in remotely and assess it before we roll a truck out there.
So do you see that growing, or would you like to see it grow?
We would like to see it go. We offer it to all of our customers. Of course, they all are, not many people want to give us that back door into their network in order to look at what we need to look at.
Do you promote it as an additional service with a fee attached, or just as a value add kind of thing?
No, we offer it as a service. We have a different hourly rate for remote service, if you will. Or if it is a customer that we do have a maintenance contract with, then we'll log in once a week, like I said, and check everything before. Be proactive. If something's going on, then we can let them know, hey, you got cameras out at this site, and then they'll let us know how they want us to react to it.
Mm-hmm. So we see that as an area of growth and opportunity, from the publication standpoint. Tyler, how much are you guys involved with remote upgrading and troubleshooting and health monitoring and that sort of thing?
Well, it depends on the vertical, right? So, just since we span just about every vertical, obviously you get into DoD spaces, it's never going to happen. You get to utilities, it's never going to happen. You get into healthcare, it'll happen, but you're normally on a secure VPN, or you get into finance, and normally you have a secure VPN or a certain, computer that they've whitelisted to allow access to. I think that people are just kind of expect that level of service nowadays with their systems. I'd say in kind of the mid-market, SMB market, people are becoming a little bit more accustomed to it and a little bit more willing to do it. I felt for a long time that in the mid-market, it was a little bit harder to sell that service and get people to do it, because you had a lot of IT directors that like to kind of be, a little Napoleon, and they'd have their fiefdom, and they wouldn't want an integrator or someone coming into it because they felt that was taking away, job security from them. But I think that, we're getting to a point now where most of these systems are not necessarily, new. We're on Gen 2, maybe Gen 3 in an organization of their camera system and access control, and IT directors at those mid-market businesses want someone to just kind of take care of it versus saying, hey, I don't want you to touch it. It's just job security. So I'd say for 90% of customers, it's an expectation. It's the norm. And most of that time, it's wrapped into either a maintenance agreement or it's billed. We tend to not give away our labor for free. So just because we value our expertise and our knowledge and our training. So that's kind of normally how it's taken care of from a revenue standpoint, is either wrapped into a service agreement or billed.
Makes sense. I think some integrators are definitely struggling with, how to the pricing model for that. Melissa, what are you guys doing remotely in terms of service?
Yeah, I mean, right now, kind of like what John was saying, we have some customers where we do have kind of a SaaS plan. We have an in-house person who will remotely call in and do managing of their account that we have access to, or that we have permission from them to do that. Otherwise, we have the service available, and like John said, a different service rate that we offer to other customers that aren't necessarily on a SaaS plan. But we've been again focusing on how we can move to that remote service model.
Are you doing it residentially as well?
Not really residentially, more commercial, and it seems to be more like on an enterprise level that we're seeing it at this point. But we're definitely focusing on how the smaller businesses can really benefit by not, they don't typically have an IT person, but what we currently are seeing is people who have multi-locations, and they're, it's just a lot for them to navigate and manage. So we're there as an extra set of eyes and hands.
Do you think now, with the interest of minimizing, techs coming on site, that that's going to help sell this more?
Yeah, that's an opportunity for us, and also a challenge, because we're right now have like one or two guys that are really very good with that, and want to expand it so that more of my technicians who maybe aren't going to go out in the field because customers don't necessarily want us on site, to get them a little more up to speed on how they can maybe remotely service things, whereas before they were just used to going on site because that's the way we've always done it. So we have an opportunity to get more people trained up proficiently so that we can help more customers and not always have to feed it to this person or that person to help the customer remotely.
Mm-hmm. Dave, what's your current stance on remote service and your outlook on it?
Well, I think it's very important, and it's very efficient. San Francisco is a high-density area. It takes a lot of time to drive around. Commuting, getting from place to place is just really hard to do. So anytime we can log in and fix something remotely, we consider it a benefit, because we can actually get more work done with less people. And all of our techs, we have what we call remote desktop licenses, so they have the ability to log in, look at what's going on. A lot of times the customer call up and say there's a problem, but what they're telling you is not accurate. They don't know how to diagnose it. They're not really sure what's going on. It's like someone who's not technical and they're driving a car and it runs out of gas. They know how to put gas in, but beyond that, they just really don't know the other parameters, things to check. So we've gone to that and pushed as much as possible. But Tyler made the point that, depending on the vertical, there's a lot of people that will not let you log in and or give you access, or they want to limit it. And then there's liability as well. If you log into a remote desktop and you do work and then you leave and you don't close that portal, it's an opportunity for bad guys to get in and do damage. So there's definitely liability involved as well, and it has to be watched and looked at closely and properly managed.
How optimistic are you about 2021, and are you tamping down your growth expectations and your revenue expectations, or are you kind of just going forward with a very optimistic outlook on that stuff? Let's continue on with Dave on that for 2021.
Well, it's a mixed bag, and it is all a lot about confidence, attitude, take care of your employees. I would say that I've said in the past that security is kind of a recessionless. It's a great industry to be in, because when times are bad, people need security. When times are good, people need security. So I think we are blessed to be in this industry versus some of the other ones. We had a nightclub upstairs, and nothing. that's not coming back for a long time. But security, I see growth. I see growth for, a cautious optimism would be a good way for me to put it. But there's definitely going to be growth and there are opportunities for us. And, people are tightening their belts. So you really have to, we're a small enough company, as it seems like everybody on this conference call, is that we can move faster than the larger corporate nationwide companies. We can spin and adjust much faster than they can. And, we've kept all our employees. We didn't furlough any of our employees. And that's the confidence we've given our employees, that we will stand by them and help them, protect them. And we provide full insurance for our employees and their families, which is pretty much unheard of in the industry. But that is how we're able to keep our employees. And we do invest a lot of money into their training. And I can see it's going to be a lot of online training going forward. So, but cautious optimism, Scott.
Tyler, what's your 2021 outlook, and how are you setting your projections?
We're still forecasting that we'll hit double-digit growth in 2021, and a lot of that, the big driver is, security as a service. Oh, you lose me? Am I back?
No, I got you.
Okay, it popped out for a second. No, I mean, we're, thankfully, just kind of where we're situated, the Midwest always tends to be a little bit more economically resilient than the coast. And with our other kind of half our business that's, down in Florida, talking about the world kind of moving, 10 years forward, there's a lot of secular growth, obviously, in Florida. New York is shut down, but Florida, for the most part, stayed open through COVID, and we're seeing a lot of, people moving from the Northeast relocating. So while certain verticals might be a little bit slow, hospitality and tourism, it's absolutely through the roof on things like, MDUs and high-rise condos, just trying to keep up with the population boom down in Florida. So, I mean, we're still targeting double-digit growth, and I think there's a lot of, growth drivers within those specific segments. Talking about like MDU specifically, I think that, wireless locks have been a big growth driver for us. On the interior doors, a lot of, tenants and apartment buildings and apartment managers or property managers are moving towards, wanting a piece of, software and a system to manage all their tenants rather than having to rekey. So I think what you're going to find is going to be a mixed bag of certain industries that are going to be hot and through the roof, and you're going to have other ones that are, completely non-existent from what they were in 2019.
So do you think diversification is an important approach right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of what our go-to-market has always been, going back to it, like I said, we're full 27, 28. So we'll do everything from the AV, the structured cabling, mass notification, fire alarm security. So when we go to market with a customer, we try to create as large a package as possible, because then it gives them one throat to choke. And for us, I mean, it's been really successful because, they might not be buying as much maybe on physical security, but they might be buying on, say, AV and video conferencing and vice versa. And the customers that, are trying to do things a little bit more remote, we have an agricultural customer that's got hundreds of sites, and they're looking at large deployments next year for cameras and access control because they're, reducing the number of FTEs and employees they're going to have actually managing those sites. So there's still big opportunities in the industry. It's just you need to kind of need to know where to look and have that conversation with the customer to connect the dots. I don't think it's as easy as just saying, hey, buy a camera. You really need to kind of create the business case and the use case of how they're going to use that technology and how it solves the problems that they have and kind of adjusting to the post-COVID world.
Thanks. John, what are you looking at for 2021?
We're with Dave, being hopefully optimistic, and we see a lot of projects starting to roll back around, or at least getting talked about now. So customers are opening the doors back up. Hey, we need to do this. We need to get this done. We're looking forward. We're making a big push in the mobile market. So we know at least where we're at that's going to be a big part of our company moving forward. So we're putting a lot of money and time into that sector.
What level of growth would define success for you in 2021?
just right now, I think we are like 25% behind where we were last year. If we can, and we're looking to, we can stay where we're at. That would be good for us. So.
You think maybe then 2021 is kind of like leveling off and then back to growth in 2022, that kind of scenario?
For sure. 2022, I mean, it's hard to say, but we're, like I said, we got a lot of stuff working, and we just hope it all falls into place like it has been, and if it does, it'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Melissa, what are you seeing for 2021?
Yeah, we actually just started our new year. We're on a fiscal year. It started November 1st. So we've got our budget put together and hoping that, obviously have to adapt as necessary. But we're projecting that we're going to see some growth, not significant, but, it's hard to exactly, because just yesterday the state of Minnesota shut everything back down again. So there's so many uncontrollables and what impact that has on our customer base. So we're forecasting or budgeting for us to see some growth over this past fiscal year in all areas of the business.
I'll just ask one final question before we get out. And I'd like to ask, from your perspective, what would you say are one or two top differentiators for your company versus the competition? And try to be as specific as you can, because a lot of people will say, oh, we put the customer first, or those kinds of sort of generalities. But if you could be as specific about it as possible, that would be great. So I'll go back to Dave on that one.
Scott, you broke up on part of that. Can you just, people faded out. Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. I was saying if you could just provide one or two top differentiators for your company versus the competition, be as specific as you can without just saying, oh, we serve the customer best type of thing.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I would say specifically my senior tech, one of them has been with me for 22 years. Our differentiator is that I think our techs are higher trained, better tested. They've been with us for a long time because we take good care of our techs, and they know what they're doing. And we also, we try and cover a smaller market area so that when a tech services a customer today, he'll be there 3 years from now, or was there 3 years ago and knows exactly how it was installed, what the customer expects, and we are investing in our employees, not only their knowledge but providing them with safety gear, PPP testing, so that they will do a good job and also be very professional in how they do their work and how they protect the businesses they're working on. So there's loyalty to our customers, and then our customers in turn give us back the loyalty, saying, microbusiness company we want to work with because of your track record and the quality of your people and the trust that they put in us and what we're doing.
Very good. Thank you. Melissa?
I was thinking you were coming to me next. I would say, specifically, our professionalism in regards to, again, kind of like what Dave was saying, our technicians in particular, especially on our fire side, where fire is about 50% of our business, and we do that really well. And so I would say just in particular there, but then in general, we do what's right for the customer and take care of our customer regardless. So, we obviously hope to have some strong profits, but if we commit to a job to get it done, we'll go to extreme measures to make sure that the customer is happy, even, sometimes beyond what we think is we go through, we're very committed to our customers. So I would say that when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it right. We do it, and we make sure it's done, even if it takes us longer. So that, coupled with our professionalism of our technicians and how well they're trained, in particular on the fire side.
Just since you brought it up, we didn't really talk about fire, but just curious, in terms of, inspections and that kind of thing with the pandemic, was that impacted a lot?
The inspections were, we had people who were like, no, we can't come in, and we do a lot of senior living and assisted living. So of course those we were not able to do, but we've since, midsummer have been kind of back on track. But yeah, there was definitely like a stoppage or a slowdown where we had to get creative about bringing some different inspections that weren't ready, typically done at that time of year. We were also able to start schools early because all the schools were shut down. So that helped us kind of just, level out the workload in the summertime.
What about the availability of the HJs? Was that impacted at all? Or?
No, because we really only have like one in the area here, and like in our main market in Rochester. In each of our markets, we typically just have one. So he was still available and out, checking the work and working with us.
Very good. Thanks. John, what are your differentiators?
It's hard to, it's the same as everybody else, if you will. I mean, we've got 5 of our lead technicians have all been with us for, 10 to 15 years. We call ourselves a little one-stop shop, if you will, because we do everything from fire security, mobile security. If you have our service, we're a small company, but we're willing to, go above and beyond any time of the day, night. Our customers, we have very good relationships with our customers. We have a good relationship with other dealers. And again, we have a big support group with the Honeywell team. So we got a real good team. And even new customers, our first thing is give us a problem that you have, give us one of your problems and let us go look at it. And we'll spend a day looking at it. And if we can solve it, then give us, and we've won customers just by doing that, because I'll put our team up against any other team out there. and I know there's a lot of good teams, especially with Dave, because we've worked with Dave, and his team is awesome. They do remote service for us here in Houston with some elevators. So it's we got a big support group, and so we always have people to fall back on. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I didn't know you guys were in cahoots. Gosh.
No,
All right.
John is tremendous. John is tremendous. If he tells you what he's going to do, he does it. I think that's an advantage of some of the small companies, that he does exactly what he says he's going to do. And that provides trust. And for your customers, they trust you. And John, I would trust John with my life. Absolutely.
All right. Tyler, what's your differentiation keys?
Yeah, I'd say it's, resourcefulness, creativity, and grit. And I think that goes back to the kind of the genesis of our company, that we come from, a rural area where we have to, make do with very little and do a lot with it. And it's kind of that pioneering spirit where there's every ingredient where we're from to not succeed, right? We got low population densities, low growth, not a super, stellar economic performer in the state of South Dakota, but, we make it work. So we're very resourceful in, the way we go to business, the way we do business. We try to stretch every dollar the way we can. We try to stretch customer dollars the way we can. And then we also, have to just find creative solutions to problems. And I think that's really kind of just propelled us, in business through the years, is that there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. And, we try to get as many different angles going into a system and a customer site and a problem, and just try to craft the right solution for the budget and the customer. And I think that's really the main differentiators for us.
Outstanding. Thank you for that. And thank you to all of you. Great job. And it's been enjoyable talking to you. And stay safe. As I said, I hope I can see you all in person real soon. And Megan will be in touch with you for any other needs like photos or things like that. And if you have any questions, reach out to me anytime.
All right.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for your opportunity.
Thanks, Scott.
We really appreciate you making the time, and thank you, Scott, so much.
Thank you, everybody. Take good care.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.